Hold back the waves that we've all been given, and let a sweet song from yesterday wash over me. If we should meet like ships passing, some stormy night, upon the blue, we may not speak, but for the asking, I'd let a sweet song from yesterday wash over you. Hold back the day, from which I'm living, so far from home, so far from home, so far from free, so far from free. Hold back the way we've all been given, and let a sweet song from yesterday wash over me. When your dreams aren't worth the dreaming, and when you can, find your way through, and all your schemes ain't worth scheming. Just let a sweet song from yesterday wash over you. Hold back the day, in which I'm living, so far from home, so far from free, so far from free. Hold back the ways we've all been given, and let a sweet song from yesterday wash over me.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Unitarian Universalist service of worship. We gather to seek our wholeness. We gather to find unity. Thank you. To seek unity and wholeness. We believe in religious freedom, and we embrace religious pluralism. We don't think alike. We share a diversity of beliefs, philosophies, religions, whatever. We don't think alike, but we love alike. So let me open our service with these words. Come into the circle of love and justice. Come into the community of mercy, holiness, and health. Come and you shall know peace and joy. All right, Barbara.
The one great art is that of making a complete human being of oneself. And that's from Gurdjieff. We find common bonds in the shared details of the human journey, not in the divergent conclusions we draw from those details. That's from Parker Palmer. Wholeness does not mean perfection. It means embracing brokenness as an integral part of life. In the presence of a newly minted human being, I am reminded of what wholeness looks like. And I am sometimes moved to wonder, whatever became of me? Those are from Parker Palmer, whom I was unfamiliar with, and I now want to read a lot more of him. He's a Quaker educator, social change artist, and a number of other things. He sounds fascinating. But doing this little bit of reading, I came up with more questions for myself, and I thought I'd throw them out to you. If wholeness cannot be or is not fully defined or understood, how do we know we have it or have not achieved it? Do we recognize wholeness when it is encountered in ourselves and others? Is wholeness a stable thing, or does it fluctuate? Here today, gone tomorrow, back again another day? Do we know someone we consider as evincing wholeness? Think about it.
Thank you, Barbara. End of sermon. We can all go home. That was very good,
Beautiful.
Barbara. I love those quotes. You took some of my thunder, but that's all right. We're all in this together. Join with me, please. We light this chalice for the light of truth.
We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connections, spiritual community where we find joy. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys, sorrows, and concerns, and acknowledge the mutual support of one another in our community.
Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo no ti, tú no vengas a mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you,
And I'm watching Derek. Derek's watching.
Don't do that.
When are we going to end this song? Now. I want to say something about Derek. He is, as he said to me this morning, he's on his way down. And physically, his heart was giving out. And I told him, I said, well, that may be the truth, but your spirit is up. And for him to get up there and play was a struggle.
Yes.
And we thank you, Derek, for doing that. Join with me, please, to the work of this fellowship, which is weaving the tapestry of love and action we call community. We dedicate our lives, and these are our offerings. Turn with me, if you would, to reading 440 by Phillip Hewett. He was a Canadian UU minister. I don't know a whole lot about him. But anyway, these are some of my favorite words in our hymnal from the fragmented world. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather together in search of wholeness.
By many cares and preoccupations, by diverse and selfish aims, are we separated from one another and divided within ourselves.
Yet we know that no branch is utterly severed from the tree of life that sustains us all.
We cherish our oneness with those around us and the countless generations that have gone before us.
We would hold fast to all good we inherit, even as we would leave behind us the outworn and the false.
We would escape from bondage to the ideas of our own day and from the delusions of our own fancy.
Let us labor and hope for the dawning of a new day without hatred, violence, and injustice.
Let us nurture the growth in our own lives of the love that is shown in the lives of the greatest of men and women, the rays of whose lamps still illumine our way.
In this spirit we gather, in this spirit we pray. So, three ministers were out fishing one day, a Baptist, a Presbyterian, and a Methodist. And they started talking about when you start working on your sermon. And the Methodist minister said, well, I start working on Monday. And the Presbyterian said, well, I kind of wait till Friday and then start working on it. And then the Baptist minister said, well, what do y'all do in the choir singing the anthem? Well, I kind of feel like that this morning because I got up this morning and I read through my sermon and I thought, I can't speak this. So I was at 6 o'clock this morning, I was rewriting and rethinking this topic. So we'll just see how it goes. If there was one word I would change in our Declaration of Independence, it would be the word happiness, so that it would read now, not happiness, but I would substitute the word wholeness, the pursuit of wholeness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of wholeness. And the reason being is because I believe that the pursuit of happiness is probably one of the most, see how to say this, has done more destruction than good. And I think it has led to a lot of unhappiness and downright misery in our culture. And I think part of the reason why is that because in our culture we've confounded happiness with hedonism, with seeking pleasure. And that's an unfortunate thing, but I think that's the way most of us, a lot of us perceive as happiness is seeking and heightening pleasure while at the same time doing all we can to avoid anything that's painful. And I think that our commercial industry promotes this notion that happiness is something that can be bought and sold. You can buy it. So I would prefer the word wholeness. And you know, like Barbara was saying, it's not an easy thing to wrap your mind around. So we'll look at that in a moment. But I like the idea of wholeness because it not only does include the happy, joyful moments of our lives, but it also involves and includes the struggles of our lives, and the painful parts of our lives are all part of being whole. And I think some of the readings that Barbara read hinted at that idea. It's not, you know, it's something that includes what we might, you know, the light and what we might call the dark parts of our lives. So we talk about wholeness, but my same question I asked myself, that Barbara asked you all, what does it look like? How do you know if you have it? How do you know if you're a whole being? How do you know wholeness if it was to stare you in the face? Would you know it? So anyway, I'm going to try to answer that question as best I can for you this morning. I want to give you an image, though, of wholeness that is universal. It's found in all cultures around the world at all times and all places, and that is, it's the symbol of the circle. And this is an AI definition, but I think it's a good definition of the circle of wholeness. The circle encompasses everything. Everything. Not just the good and the bad, all of it. The circle encompasses everything within its boundaries, making it a symbol of unity, completeness, and the idea that all things are part of a greater whole. So the circle, symbol of wholeness, that includes everything. And I think we need to see that and understand that both in a psychological way and in a social way. And in our reading this morning, from the Fragmented World, the first line is, and you can leave that up because I want to say one more thing about the circle in a moment. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather in search of wholeness. So our gathering here this morning, we gather here to search for wholeness. We gather here, you say we gather to worship God. Or we gather to search for our salvation. But perhaps maybe all of that is the same thing in our gathering for wholeness. We are searching for God however we perceive God to be, or whatever we perceive God to be, you know. For me, it's not, oh, the white man up in heaven, whatever it is for you. But that somehow our wholeness is connected with whatever we conceive of as being the divine, or our salvation. Many of you may know, if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell, this is what he says: God is an intelligible sphere, a circle, a sphere known to mind, whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. So, you know, Campbell was using that image of the circle of the wholeness. In his thoughts, that was a symbol of God for him. So I want to follow, again, back to the reading. I want to follow exactly what Hewett has said here, that we're in search of wholeness, and by many cares and preoccupations, by diverse and selfish aims, we're separated from one another and divided within ourselves. So there's two views of wholeness. The wholeness that is out there in the world, in our society, in our culture, and then this notion of wholeness within, as opposed to being divided within ourselves. Now, you know as well as I do, what's going on in our country right now is that we're separated in this country from one another I would think probably more than we have since the Civil War. We're separated from one another. And there was a poll published in the New York Times the other day, and it said that most Americans believe that our differences can't be overcome. Most Americans, I don't remember the number, but it was pretty high, like 80% of Americans believe that our differences and our separations can't be bridged or can't be overcome. So we're really, really divided in this country right now, and unfortunately, we have a leader and leadership that has the intentions, it seems, of dividing us even as far as apart as we can get. We don't have a leader who is really interested in uniting us, but an administration that really is really more interested in really spreading us so far apart that we feel like sometimes we're on the edge of a civil war. So that's how bad it is in our country in terms of our social wholeness, our wholeness out there. Now, Martin Luther King, if you're familiar with Martin Luther King, had the sense that, first of all, he said separation is sin. Now, he's coming from a Christian theological background. For him, separation, he understood separation was sin. And he also understood that justice was a form of wholeness. For him, justice was a form of wholeness. Justice was a pathway to creating wholeness. So, back to Barbara's question, what does it look like when society is whole? How do we get there? Well, that's one of the ways we get there. We get there by upholding justice and fighting for justice. I hate to use the word fight, but standing up for justice, equality for all people. And again, back to the world we're living in right now, injustice is running very high, and the whole justice of America, in my opinion, seems like it's falling apart. But I haven't lost hope, because there's a lot of people out there that are working hard to restore justice and bring justice back to our country. But let me back up a minute, because I did some exploration about this inner division. We're divided within. We're divided within. Maybe you feel that way. You feel that you're so divided within yourself. And so I did a little research on that, and I wanted to discover whether or not that was something that we're conditioned to be, or something that we are by nature. And my belief is that we are conditioned to be that way, but it's not our nature to be divided. Now, if you noticed or not, if you read the newsletter, I did read it, Don. I just skipped over some things. But I read your quote from Martin Luther King, and I read that little one-liner on the top, written in blue or whatever, typed in blue. And if you all may remember it, let me read it to you in case you don't remember it. This is what Martin Luther King said. Each of us is something of a schizophrenic personality, tragically divided against ourselves, a persistent civil war within all of our lives. So, that's just highlighting really what Hewett said in our reading, that we're divided against ourselves. And, in my opinion, that's probably one of the worst situations that we humans can be put in, is to be divided against ourselves, or as King said, schizophrenic. And so I thought to myself, where does all that come from if it's been conditioned? If it's not our nature to be that way? Who told us that we were divided against ourselves? Who told us that? Well, I'm going to read to you from the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Romans, where he's highlighting the human condition. And this is what he says. This is Romans 7. If you want to look that up yourself and read it, you'll see I'm not making this up, okay? In Romans 7, the book of Romans is Paul's systematic theology from A to Z. You find everything in the book of Romans where he's saying, this is my gospel and this is what it's all about. He starts in Romans 7 by saying, the law of God, Exodus 20, the law of God says you should not covet. If you go back to that law and read it, it says you should not covet your neighbor's house, or you should not covet your neighbor's wife. So this law is addressed to men because this is a patriarchal culture. So it doesn't say women shouldn't covet their neighbor's husband, but men should not covet their neighbor's house or their neighbor's wife. Now Paul said that's what the law says. And he says, but every time I try to obey that law and do what is right, which would be what? Not to covet, I end up coveting. Every time I try to not desire that, I desire that. Okay, so what does he do with that? He says, well, something's going on here, and I need to figure out what it is. He says, he goes on to say, I don't do it, but sin that dwells within me does it. The sin that dwells in my flesh makes me do that. You know, you hear people say the devil made me do it. You know, well, I don't do it. So what's doing it within me? Well, it's the sins of my flesh. And then he goes, I delight in the law, but I see in my members another law at war and work against the Spirit. And he ends that passage by saying, I'm a wretched man that I am. Now, that's not autobiographical. He's not talking about this is my condition. He's talking about this being the human condition. As a friend of mine at Brevard College used to ask me from time to time, she said, Ernie, why does religion declare war on biology? You have this conflict set up from Paul that you are at war constantly with your nature. Your nature, your flesh, your biological makeup is causing you to conflict with the law. And that, as far as I could see, that's where this whole notion of being divided against yourself, at war with yourself, has its foundations. We're conditioned to be that way. I don't accept that I'm a wretched person. I don't accept this. And I hope I don't upset anyone, but I think this is the most deadliest, destructive, psychological doctrine that any human could ever come up with. That you are rotten at the core, you're a wretched human being. I'm not wretched, you're not wretched. As Unitarian Universalists, our first principle, you're a person of worth and dignity. You're a person of inherent worth and dignity. You're not wretched. You're not at war with yourself. Only if you make it that way. Only if you see yourself at war with your nature, with who you are, your instinctual nature. We all have this biological, natural, instinctual nature. But we learn as we grow to self-regulate, to self-govern. We have aggression. We all have aggression. But we learn as we grow old, hopefully, ideally, to control that, to monitor that aggression and not let it get out of hand. We all have emotions. I was talking to Jim the other day. We were talking about how some people say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't have these emotions. Well, listen, we don't have emotions. They have us. What matters is what we do with them. What we do with them. We all have the sexual drive. There would be no human population if we didn't have the sexual drive. But we learn as we grow old to self-regulate that. It's not that we have it, it's what we do with it that matters. So I reject that belief that we are at this war with ourselves and divided from each other. And I think to be whole, to me, means to be able to acknowledge every part of who I am and accept it. You can't change what you don't accept in yourself. And the problem, my first contact with wholeness came from Carl Gustav Jung, was the founder of depth psychology. He talked about wholeness quite a bit. That was his main idea, is being whole. But he also developed another concept called the shadow. And the shadow comes, the shadow is, we make the shadow. Listen to this. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. The more we want to look perfect. Remember what Barbara said, wholeness is not about being perfect. The more we strive to look perfect and to project this image of perfection, the darker the shadow becomes. The more repressed our instinctual natures become. And as a result of that shadow, we become, unconsciously, we become very narcissistic. It's all about me. It's all about the applause. It's all about the adulation. It's all about the mass numbers of people who show up for my debates and my speeches. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And what concerns me now, really in light of every other thing, is the attempt of this present administration to cover up the national shadow. We have a national shadow. We have things we've done in our past as a nation that we need to repent for. We need to atone for them. The word atonement means at one. We don't atone for those things if we deny them. So we have an administration now who is going into the Smithsonian Institute and removing all the negative stuff about our history because they want to put forth American exceptionalism. Now, I can guarantee you this. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow, and the shadow will eventually do itself in. The shadow will eventually do itself in. So wholeness means the inclusion of everything. Not just in ourselves, but in our nation. To be able to look at our past and say we've done these things that we should not have done, and we need to own up to that, own it, and integrate it into our sense of who we are as a nation so we can avoid it in the future. You all know the story of Wounded Knee, right? Well, again, this administration telling us that those soldiers who kill those innocent men, women, and children deserve their medals. You know, that whole notion of we've got to project this bright light and somehow bury all this stuff that we don't want to face. Now, we do that as a nation, but the danger is we do that as individuals too. We don't want to face up to our past and things we've done but that's how you integrate with the shadow. You know, you integrate, you bring in everything you've ever done. I mean, I have things in my past that are not good. And I don't want to bury them. I want to face them and look at them and integrate them into my sense of who I am as a human being. The shadow is not evil in itself. It just becomes evil when we deny that it's there. Think of the shadow as the roots of a tree. The roots of the tree are underground. You don't see them. They're in the dark. They're in the soil. But they hold the tree firmly. And so in recognition of our humanity, there's a humility. We recognize our humanity. It's not evil or sinful, or we're not wretched. We recognize that we do good things, we do these things, but it's all part of who we are. And to accept that doesn't mean that we continue doing something that may not be right. For example, and I'll stop with this, I grew up with a father who was enraged. And I took on that rage. And I had to deal with that. I had to deal with the fact that I had rage. And it didn't take much to get it, set it off. And so I've had to deal with that. I don't say that's a bad, ugly, wicked thing. I just say that's part of being human, is to have those feelings. But again, it's not that you have them, it's what you do with them. And so you learn over time how you can control. So I pulled up at a stop sign the other day, and I let somebody go, and the guy behind me blew his horn. I mean, he laid on his horn. So I pulled up the next stop sign, and he pulled up right beside me, and he rolled down his window and he goes, "Asshole." And I went, 10 years ago, my old Marine would have come out, but I've learned, okay, just take it like that, it's okay. So I'm confessing here, All right, I got to bring this to a close, so we're running out of time here. Well, I'll leave it with that then. I'm out of notes. Okay. Closing music. I believe we're going to sing this song for Sally McMillan.
Sally died not too long ago, and just a few weeks before she died, she sent Derek and me, and maybe Ernie, a YouTube video of Pete Seeger doing "This Land Is Your Land." She said, "Oh, it would be great if you could do this as a service and include some of the verses that he's doing." And as Pete Seeger says in the YouTube, so many different countries and groups of people have made up different verses. So we've included one that was in that YouTube about, that could be a Native American speaking. So, about your land, our land, and all that. So we've chosen a few of, we thought, a few of the verses which we thought were meaningful, and the last one is, I think, one that meant something to Sally. So, sorry Chris isn't here, but this is honoring Sally's request. And please sing along, you know the tune. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw below me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there
before we sold you Manhattan Island. You pushed our nations to reservations. This land was stole by you from me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Last line. This land was made for you and me.
May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and the most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Thank you. Do we have anybody have any urgent thoughts they want to share? Ellen.
I think that's one of the best sermons that you've given.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Well, I can give it again if you want. Well, have a nice day, everyone. We extinguish the flame of this chalice. Let us follow the light of truth until we meet again. Yes. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free.